Hello, everybody. So, I'm here to present how to create distributed validators in the wild and how we are doing this in Diva. So I don't know if you ever heard of Diva, but it's a project about creating liquid staking in combination with distributed validators and trying to decentralize as much as possible the validation, dividing 32 ethers into lower amounts. So how is Diva working? So Diva basically combines the ethers that are deposited by stakers with the ethers that are deposited by operators. So stakers only want to receive some yield on their ethers, but they don't want to run a validator. They just want a passive yield. And operators are actors that want to run the technical part, but they also want some extra rewards. They are not conforming only with the Ethereum yields, and they want something extra. So in order to participate in a decentralized network, they can participate in Diva and join the community to actively decentralize Ethereum. So this is great, but there are always risks, pros and cons of everything. So liquid staking and DVT are great, but they always come at a cost, and it must be we must be very careful when introducing any kind of DVT and liquid staking into the protocols. There are many attacks that can happen in Ethereum, but the main ones are reorgs, double finality or finality delays, which is basically, in the case of reorgs, that you can, if you control enough validators, you can always reorg the blocks, avoiding the creation of some blocks that were already proposed and creating some double spending in another place. Something like an exchange where you could buy something, or when you're buying a product, you could do double spending thanks to these reorg attacks. So depending on the amounts, it can be costly. Then you also have double finality, which is the case in which you have two versions of Ethereum progressing at the same time. This attack is rare because it requires a lot of capital to be executed, but we'll see how this can be reduced when using liquid staking or DVT. And finality means that you stop the chain from progressing by actively being inactive. That also requires quite some capital invested, but it can be reduced again. So the main drawback of liquid staking is that it has an implicit leverage. So you're giving the power to an operator of controlling 32 ETH by only depositing, let's say, 16 ETH of collateral. So you have basically a power of attack of 32 ETH with only 16 ETH at risk, which means that someone that deposits half of that is risking only 16.5% in the case of 16 to 32 ratios, while controlling still the 33% attack, which is a benchmark for the previous attack that I mentioned before. So this basically makes everything cheaper depending on the collateral and must be considered. Another thing very popular is the DVT. So DVT has been talked as the Saint Grail of decentralization and validation, and it's great. However, there is always a cost, and we can see how when we have a group that instead of a single node is validating, so let's say you have a threshold signature like a multisig that is validating on behalf of a validator, then with DVT, you need only the majority of the group to validate on behalf of the validator. This means that you have a set, and you have to very carefully choose the size of that set. And we can see how the bigger the set, the higher the resiliency, because you have to have downtime in more nodes to have the validator as detected as downtime. There are some particular points in which it's more efficient to take the set size, but the catch-up that I want you to take from here is that resiliency always comes at a cost. It's not free. And the cost here is that attacks become cheaper because you only need the majority of the set to perform the attack. So the collateral that you have imposed to the group is not anymore the rule, but is the threshold of the collateral of the group, the one that you need to to attack the network, right? So the more validators you control this way, the higher the risk. So we can basically do an estimation, a rough estimation of what will be the protocol size that we could consider secure and what will be the cost of attacking Ethereum. So you can have an amount of collateral divided by the ethers that you are depositing and how much will it be to perform this 33% attack based on the DBT threshold. And if we put some numbers on this really simplified version, because again, there are many other things to take into consideration, like you have to have control over messages, stuff like that. We can see how with DBT and without DBT, numbers changes. And an attack that was costing half of it with collateral, with DBT is even cheaper because you are reducing that to only 11%. So just for example, if you have a collateral for ethers and you are not using threshold signatures, you have a cost of around 4.13% of the ethers to control the 33% attack. And if you add DBT to that, only with 2.75% of the ethers of that set, you can perform a 33% attack. So those are numbers that, yeah, have to be carefully chosen, and the protocols should limit themselves depending on the size that they can achieve and the rules that they impose to their stakers and operators. So it's not all bad. I don't want to be here the one that is complaining about DBT or liquid staking, because both technologies are great. They have value in providing liquidity. They have value in providing resiliency. But the risk must be taken into account. And as long as we are aware of the risk and take actions to reduce them, it's okay to use both technologies. But they have to be considered. So imagine you want to choose 4 operators from this set, and you want them to run your validator. Which one will you choose? The random people? The FTX logo over there? Probably not, right? So you want to choose carefully, and you always will have a tendency towards picking the ones that you like the most. So there is a natural tendency towards centralization, towards choosing the ones that you trust, and this is risky. So how do we solve this in Diva? In Diva, all the DKGs and all the operators are chosen more randomly. We don't select from all the DBT node operators. We don't select who is going to participate, and we don't let the stakers choose. Stakers shouldn't choose. They should not have this load on them having to pick one or the other. It should be safe no matter who you choose, and the protocol should do all the hard work to give you a proper node operator to run your ethers, right? So then you can have the liquid staking and be just relieved that it will work fine. So in Diva, we have a coordination between the nodes that allow us to create the distributed validators, and then we can perform the duties and the validation that are executed from the point of view of the beacon chain. I don't know how much time I still have, but basically, the liquid staking as a wrap-up and DBT are great, but they come at a cost. Centralization forces must be taken into account actively by design. And yeah, only cooperation, as we saw on the panel a few days ago, can fight the centralization forces. So we must actively work towards providing a decentralized way of validation. I also want to invite you to our workshop. We will be on Wednesday. On Friday. Wednesday is today, but on Friday we'll do a workshop. Testnet is coming really soon, so you'll be able to play with the nodes. You will be able to also stake on Diva, at least for now on Gorley or Kepada. So yeah, you're very welcome and invited to participate with us. And that will be all. If you have any question, I would rather talk to you and engage in an active conversation. So please feel free to ask. Thank you. Any question? Question? Okay. I'll be around anyway. You'll see the logos and the white jacket. So if you have any question, please come to one of us. We are around. As for Diva, yeah, looking forward to having you on board in Diva very soon. Thank you.